And then this one's a big one for me. Oh boy. And that is, so in my previous video about the history of Capcom versus SNK's collaboration, I said if I'm thinking Capcom would do a Capcom versus SNK collection, it would include Capcom versus SNK, Capcom versus SNK Pro, the sequel, Fighting Evolution, and a prototype of the Fighting All-Star. Well, I was close to some extent because Capcom announced Capcom Fighting Collection 2. So, yeah. So, my theory about a collection were a bit way off to some extent. I mean, 2 of the games are going to be in this collection. So, it is what it is. So, anyway, yeah. So, of course, you saw that list. My theory was the Capcom vs. SNK collection with 4 games at least. But, nope. Apparently, 3 out of the 4 is going to be in a new collection. Yes, Capcom did just announce Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Hello guys, NautoAis here, and this will be a follow-up on my thoughts on the Indie Direct / Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. And one of the games that I was shocked that they actually do this, but a little bit of concerning, but I'll talk about that later. And that is Capcom Fighting Collection 2. And I like the logo because if you notice the number 2, it's actually the same logo design from Capcom vs. SNK 2. So anyway, yeah, so it was revealed on the Nintendo Direct. It will be on the PlayStation 4, Switch, and Steam. So they reveal what the game's gonna be, what's included. So of course, Capcom vs. SNK Pro, Capcom vs. SNK 2, Capcom Fighting Evolution. Yes, everybody loves that game. I know I'm joking. Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, and I'll explain that. A lot of people already did, but I'm going to give my extended thoughts about it. Power Stone 1 and 2. A lot of people wanted that. Finally, Project Justice, which is Rival School 2, and Plasma Sword, which is Star Gladiator 2. So if you notice in this collection mostly are, you might say Dreamcast game, which you're right, they are Dreamcast game. Minus Capcom Fighting Evolution, unless it did also come in Japan, because like I said, the Dreamcast died a bit early than in Japan, from what I heard. So, like I said, Capcom vs. SNK 2 was actually in Dreamcast in Japan. Heck, I even did a showcase just showing it. I know. Most of it are from the Dreamcast, and I think most of those games are also run on a Naomi engine. Not all of them, but most of them. So that's maybe the reason. I know it's kind of weird, but don't think of it too much. Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Is it a big deal that this game was announced? To some extent, again, yes. Particularly of the franchise, but the Capcom vs. SNK series. So, of course, ever since SNK vs. Capcom Match of the Millennium from the Neo Geo Pocket came out for Steam and Switch, I wish it's also going to be the PS4, but it is what it is. We'll see if they're willing to do it in the long run. A lot of people say, buy this game and maybe their engagement, and it did. EVO 2020, there was a poster. People thought it was just a nothing burger, but it was actually something. And then EVO 2024, SNK vs. Capcom Chaos, did a shadow drop. I bought it, full price, $20, giving again SNK a bone. Hopefully that means more collaboration with Capcom. And now with Capcom Fighting Collection 2, you got Capcom vs. SNK Pro and Capcom vs. SNK 2. Again, most people are willing to pay Capcom vs. SNK 2 by itself. Yes, if you have a PS3, you can actually get it as a PS2 to a PS3 emulator. I have it. At one point, it was even selling under $5. There you go. But now, if you only have either a Switch, PlayStation console 4 or 5, or Steam, you don't have a PlayStation 3, here's your chance, especially with Capcom vs. SNK 2, because it is a big deal. And if you follow the FGC scene, you follow Twitch, then you know a lot of people play this game even in tournament places. It is what it is. The another question now, with Capcom Fighting Collection 2, should people once again do the quote-unquote Capcom test? And the answer for that one, most people probably not going to like it. The hype franchise test, they talked about it before. If you want more of the franchise for the modern times, a new version for a lot of this game, you gotta buy this collection. And if you can, buy it at full price at launch. They get engagement, they see, oh, people do want them, then they will consider. Because yes, like I said, when Ono was trying to champion Darkstalker Resurrection, failed to a point that the Capcom suit said, yeah, well, nobody wants the game, no, there's no demand, we're done. And even Ono admitted it. They said that, yeah, because not a lot of people bought Darkstalker Resurrection. It is what it is. Yeah, it sucks, but again, that's the engagement. So did it really affect when people bought Capcom Fighting Collection? To some extent, yeah, because now you have the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, which is going to come out in September and physically November, and I'll talk about that more. Now Capcom Fighting Collection 2 in 2025. There are some engagement, there are some reaction to a point that even the director and the producer of Street Fighter said, yes, it seems now Capcom wants to release a lot of this classic on modern console because they're seeing the engagement. People bought the Capcom Fighting Collection. There was, I think it was some good sale. Granted, there was some pre-order bonus and a code for Capcom Arcade Stadium 2nd to get 3 Wonders for free, but still, it did help. Because of that, they did Marvel vs. Capcom Collection. And then after that, now they're doing a sequel, Capcom Fighting Collection 2. So as for the release date, my guess is a lot of people kind of said that at the earliest, it's probably going to be March of 2025, prior to the release of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. If you don't know, that game's going to come out in April 24th, 2025. Kind of makes sense, so there you go. That's why if you notice a lot of the promo art now, it's Ryu and Terry. Come on, it kind of makes sense because Terry was first before Kyo. It was just kind of weird at the time because I think because King of Fighter was more popular than Fatal Fury in 2000. That's why it was Ryu and Kyo. It's basically Street Fighter versus King of Fighters. And of course, the main character versus the main character. But a lot of people did say that Terry would make more sense. I agree. That's why with SNK vs. Capcom Chaos, it was Terry and Ryu. And then now on Capcom vs. SNK 2, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, once again, it's Terry and Ryu. Because it makes more sense. Street Fighter and Fatal Fury. Just saying there. Whether you like or not, Terry Bogard is Mr. SNK. There's a reason why he was in Smash Bros. Ultimate rather than Kyo. Because a lot of people know about Terry Kyo. I think Kyo was well popular only in Japan, but worldwide, it's Terry. Just throwing it out there. So, by buying Capcom Fighting Collection 2, will it have a higher chance now of making a new series for whatever? Power Stone, Project Justice, Plasma Sword, Street Fighter Alpha, maybe not. Or especially Capcom versus SNK. The biggest one is Capcom versus SNK. That's the biggest one. Maybe finally they'll do a third sequel. There you go. As for Power Stone, yes, believe it or not, because there have been a lot of demands ever since the release of Power Stone Collection on the PSP. A lot of fans did want Power Stone on modern console. They've been practically begging Capcom, but at the time it was in death's ear. Same goes with Project Justice, Rival School. I think not so much with Star Gladiator, but people did want the 3D fighting games. But at the time, different executives, they were just looking at it. And also, they're trying to prevent what happened with Capcom in 2012 to 2014, which the gist of it for people who don't know is that when they were releasing a lot of this fighting game, mind you, they are PSN, Xbox Arcade. So they were sort of that downloadable game, indie game, whatever you call it, smaller games. Capcom got too greedy to some extent because of the success of Street Fighter 4. So they were releasing a lot of these downloadable Capcom fighting games, like 3 to 4 months each other. Not a lot of people can get them. Oh, should I get this and that? They were releasing Marvel vs. Capcom Origin, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Darkstalker Resurrection, JoJo Bizarre Adventure for Capcom. And there was a lot of it to a point that a lot of the fighting fans in the FGC can't get all of them, because the problem also was at the time was the mentality of an indie game, downloadable game, are $10. And you say, wow, this is more than $10. This is bullshit. Even former Capcom market jerk Christian Van admitted it that, yeah, well, we need it to be $15 or we're not going to get our returns. That's the reason. And they didn't because, according to Sven, a lot of this game, they didn't sell. They did not sell. And when they were getting their sale, yeah, it was on sales. So again, when you put a game on sale, you're not going to get a lot of ROI. That's the thing. So Capcom was trying to learn from that. Say, oh, we're not going to do a lot of fighting games. So, like I said, chances start at the earliest, Capcom Fighting Collection 2 probably going to be released at March prior to Fatal Fury City of the World. But it could be also 6 months. It's going to be probably next summer, 2025. Because again, you just have the announcement release date for Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. And you need to give that game first breathing room. Let people get hype about it. Let them play for 6 months at least. And then after that, okay, we're going to move on to Capcom Fighting Collection 2. So that's why it's a big deal. That's why, once again, you got to understand with Max, every time he see a revive of the Capcom Fighting game, he goes like a kid, goo goo gaga, because like I said, with the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, Capcom Fighting games for him, it's not just he's a fan. Yes, he is a fan of Capcom Fighting games, super fan. Also, he's a fan of Dreamcast. The guy is a shield for the Sega Dreamcast. He admitted that. And that a lot of those games, what made what Max is. It started his career, so it's not just, I'm a fan of this game. It started his career to a point that he got a Guinness Book of Record. A lot of company do acknowledge Max as basically influencer for the FGC. It is what it is. So there you go. So yes, it is a big deal for Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Yeah, you might want to consider do the Capcom test. And yeah, this game is a big deal, especially if you want a new Capcom versus SNK game. So about the game itself, the game they chose. So like I said, all of them are Dreamcast games. Kind of makes sense. They weren't a Dreamcast except for Capcom Fighting Evolution, unless in Japan. I'm only looking in the perspective of the international market. And I'm going to stop here. So next time, I'm going to give more thoughts about Capcom Fighting Collection 2, why it's a big deal, plus more on Marvel vs. Capcom's collection, the release date, and Norimaru. So stay tuned.